Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's weather forecast, we are going to be going over what we can expect with Hurricane Raphael as it is getting ready to make landfall in Cuba. So we will be going over that. And as it does continue to head farther to the north in the Gulf of Mexico, it will also likely bring some severe weather along with some storm surge and maybe even some flash flooding as it gets closer to the Florida Keys. So we will be going over the impacts we can expect there too as well. And then we got more storm systems on the way, which do look to bring a little bit of severe weather once again, kind of like what we saw the last few weeks. So this is definitely something to really be keeping an eye on closely as more storm systems look to be on the way, including that potential for even some heavy snowfall. So make sure to stay tuned till the end, and of course make sure to subscribe, like, and as well as leave any comments, questions, or concerns down below that you have. I'll get to those right after today's weather forecast, and you guys can leave anything down below as long as it's respectful. But let's first go ahead and take a look at the tropics, and as you guys can see, we currently have Hurricane Raphael getting ready to make landfall in Cuba right there. So we will need to be watching Raphael the next couple of hours as it does continue to head farther to the north. We also got this area right over here that is getting ready to head closer to parts there of the Bahamas. So that will also be another area to keep an eye on, as we could maybe get a little bit of rainfall from the system, but it's not really anything severe though. So it's really just going to be maybe a little bit of rain as it continues to head farther to the west. But as of right now, we're mainly just keeping an eye on Raphael as it will bring impacts to Cuba and perhaps the Florida Keys. So make sure to be weather aware if you do either live in the Florida Keys or Cuba, which will be both today and as well as tomorrow. Let's now go ahead and take a look at what we can expect for the impact with Raphael. And as you guys can see, we currently have a slight risk for severe weather across the Florida Keys right there, which mainly includes areas just to the west there of Marathon, Florida. So if you do live in the Florida Keys, make sure you are weather aware today, as once again we do have that risk for a few tornadoes, especially those areas just to the west there of Marathon, Florida. But we still can't rule out a few anywhere from Fort Myers all the way back down into Marathon, Florida. So make sure you are being on high alert even if you do live in Fort Myers, Naples, down there towards Marathon, like I said. So that is going to still be an area to watch closely for today as Raphael continues to head closer. Let's now go ahead and look at the track and as well as the intensity. And as you guys can see, this is going to continue to head farther to the north after it makes landfall there in Cuba. And you guys can probably tell if you look closely, most of that wind is on the eastern edge of that system, and that's pretty much this yellow color that indicates the tropical storm wind field right there. And as it does get right here about, let's say, about midnight tonight, because that will just be right before Thursday, that wind field is probably going to expand all the way towards the Florida Keys like that, especially if it continues to strengthen. So we will need to be watching the Florida Keys very closely, as once again that wind field is definitely going to clip some of that area by the time we head into later today and as well as into midnight, like I said. And then after that, after bringing impacts to both Cuba and as well as the Florida Keys, this is looking to continue all the way up there towards Louisiana, which does look to kind of make landfall somewhere in this area as either a tropical storm or depression, because like I said in the last few videos, guys, those water temperatures are much cooler than they should be to support tropical development, mainly along the coastal areas. And that's the reason why we expect the system to die down by the time it gets closer. But make sure, like I said, to be weather aware if you do live across Cuba and the Florida Keys. You still should pay attention if you do live up here towards Louisiana, but we still got a very long way to go before this makes any any concerns across the U.S. because guys can see that is on Monday, and that cone of uncertainty is super big. So this could either go up there towards, Florida, or this could go there towards Texas, or straight up there towards Louisiana, or maybe even back down here. So once again, we will need to be watching that closely for both Florida and Cuba, but up there does remain very uncertain. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the storm surge forecast, and as some of those tropical storms do clip the Florida Keys, we will likely see anywhere from 1 to 3 feet of storm surge across the Florida Keys, so we will need to be watching these areas very closely as tropical storm or Hurricane Rafeal does move closer. Because like I said, this isn't going to make a direct hit. This wind field is pretty much going to be clipping those areas like that as it continues to head towards the north. So make sure you are weather aware for, tropical storm force winds, and as well as a couple of tornadoes as we head later in today throughout the nighttime hours, and maybe even continuing into tomorrow morning, so make sure to be paying attention tonight. Let's now go ahead and take a look at what we can expect with the storm systems now as we continue to head into the future. And with this next storm system that's expected to move on through, this will be after Rafeal moves on through Cuba and as well as the Florida Keys. We will have another storm system developing out here to the west, and it will kind of start to bring some showers and thunderstorms down there across central Texas, as we do have a slight risk for severe weather across that area, with the risk of a brief tornado or two, and as well as some large hail and as well as damaging winds. So we do have all hazards in play, but the biggest concern looks to be that large hail threat, as we do have that 15% risk for large hail, but both the wind threat and tornado threat are lower, but there is still a chance we may get a little bit of both. So make sure to secure objects, make sure to have your tornado action plan in place just in case, and of course make sure to bring your cars into your garage if you do live across central Texas. Let's now go ahead and take a look at what we can expect as we head into Friday now. And as you guys can see, as we head into Friday, we do have a marginal risk for severe weather still continuing across central Texas, as this system, is getting ready to kind of stall out because that storm threat still continues there. They haven't issued the hazards yet for Friday, but this is still something to really be keeping an eye on as this, storm system continues to linger into parts there of Texas. So we will really need to be keeping an eye on it closely. And, all other days after Friday still remain very uncertain. But, we definitely do know that there will be some severe weather across Texas. So not only be weather aware tomorrow, but also be weather aware as we head into Friday. Let's now go ahead and take a look at what we can expect with this excessive rainfall outlook. And as you guys can see, we currently have a moderate risk for flash flooding across parts there of the Carolinas, heading there into central Georgia. Now, this is not going to be caused by Rafeal, guys. This is going to be caused by a massive wave of storms coming off Rafeal and moving on into parts there of Florida, Georgia, and as well as South Carolina. So we're pretty much going to have a big wave of thunderstorms right there, and it's going to continue to move towards the north and as well as the northeast. So like I said, this isn't going to be caused by Rafeal, at least not a direct hit, but like I said, some of its rain will come off and surge into those areas, and that's why we are going to be talking the potential for some significant flooding as we head throughout today. Let's now go ahead and take a look at tomorrow, and that flood threat still continues across the Carolinas as that, wave of showers and thunderstorms moving on through those areas will continue to stall out. But we also do have a new risk for flash flooding across parts there of northern Texas and as well as southwest Oklahoma as we head to tomorrow, as that storm system not only will bring severe weather down here, but will also bring more in the way of showers and thunderstorms thunderstorms far to the north, so we will need to continue to watch that area very closely as we head into tomorrow, as that storm system will still continue to bring that potential. And as we head into Friday, that same thing will continue, as that flash flood threat will continue across some of those same areas, but does shift a little bit farther to the east as we head into Friday. So we need to be watching Friday closely, not only for severe weather, like I said, because they haven't issued the hazards yet across central Texas, but we definitely will know more detail as we head into tomorrow about also the flood threat we're taking a look at for Friday. So make sure to continue to watch as we head into Friday and perhaps even the weekend. So we will definitely need to keep an eye on this very closely, as things are looking to be quite concerning. And then finally, as we head into the weekend, this will be for Saturday, we are going to continue to watch for flash flooding as that storm system continues to surge east. And it doesn't really look to be as of a concern as it dies down, but this is still going to be something to keep an eye on, especially for those areas north of Mississippi. You guys south of Mississippi will likely see maybe a slight risk for flash flooding get issued, because this looks to be about this time where Rafeal may start to bring a little bit of showers and thunderstorms to those areas, but it's more than likely going to be sometime at the beginning of next week when Rafeal creates some tropical storm conditions for these areas. So that's just something to keep an eye on, and of course keep in mind as we are still a little uncertain on what exactly will happen. But once again, though, we are going to be watching that potential for showers and thunderstorms across both of those areas, and a slight risk for flash flooding cannot be ruled out on Saturday, so make sure to be paying attention and as well as looking out. Let's now go ahead and take a look at what we can expect as we head into the future. Now, this is the risk of heavy precipitation issued by the Climate Prediction Center, and this is anywhere from November 13th through November 15th, and as you guys can see, we do have that slight risk for heavy rainfall across parts there of Dixie Alley, up there into parts there of the Southern Plains, into parts there of the Southern Midwest, and as well as the Lower Ohio Valley will be at risk for some heavy rainfall as we head closer into the middle of November. But same with the Northwest during the exactly same time frame, which once again will be from November 13th through November 15th, as we could also see some heavy precipitation across the Northwest too as well. And not only will we be worrying about heavy precipitation, but we'll also need to worry about heavy snowfall, as we do have a huge area to watch for heavy snowfall, especially in the higher elevations heading from Montana all the way back down there into central Colorado, including the Denver area almost. You guys, are pretty much right here. So you guys, might even be at risk for some heavy snowfall as we head from November 13th all the way to November 19th. So we will need to keep an eye on that area very closely, as we will also likely even see that same risk across parts there of the Cascades. So make sure to be, watching very closely for heavy snowfall if you do live in the higher elevations, but also make sure you're preparing for this winter, as conditions will likely get worse as we head into December across these areas. So make sure to be paying very attention closely if you do live across both of these areas. And then finally, if we look at the wind now, as you guys can see, not only will we be dealing with that risk for heavy snowfall across these areas, but during the same time frame, we will have that risk for widespread high winds across much there of the west, and as well as the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, into parts there in the Mid-Atlantic, into northern Dixie Alley, and as well as the Midwest, guys. This is probably one of the biggest widespread slight risks for damaging winds that I have seen this fall so far. So this is definitely gonna be a massive thing to watch for, guys, as we head from November 13th through November 15th. But that area out there to the west can expect that wind threat to continue from November 13th through November 17th. So a little bit different time frame between both of these areas, but we will still have that risk for damaging winds during the middle of November, so make sure to, be on high alert. And it's also a time of year where we usually get higher wind gusts, so it's always good to be prepared beforehand than to not be prepared. So make sure to, at least be paying attention for that potential of high winds as we head into the middle of November. But thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy today's weather forecast. I really do appreciate you guys watching my last few videos, including my live streams. But we do have a lot more stuff to worry about, including the potential for Tropical Storm Rafeal as it does get closer to the southern Gulf Coast states. So we will need to be watching, Louisiana, all the way down there into Florida for that potential of some impacts. But that still remains uncertain, though, as we will keep you guys updated with the latest on Rafeal, but we'll also keep you guys updated with the latest on what we can expect with the severe weather, and also what we can expect with the flooding too as well. So make sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to leave a thumbs up too as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. You guys can leave anything down below as long as it's respectful. And I hope you guys all have a great day, and we will see you in the next one.